It's Wednesday morning, 24th of January, back in the UK, ready for today's long run, which is half marathon, 13 miles, or I can make it 13.2, so it's an official half marathon. So a slower pace today as compared to the pushing it one in Seattle the other day, but with a bit of a push at the end. Let's see how I feel. So of course, because I'm back at home, it's uphill first. So I thought I'd use this run to explain a bit how I got into running in the first place and my journey to the point of signing up for an ultra marathon. I'll try and keep it as short as possible, but basically I started running when I was 30, so coming up to 14 years ago now, and I basically wanted something free that meant I didn't have to pay for a gym and that I could eat what I want. And basically that was my philosophy of getting the shoes on and getting out there. No research, I just thought if I do lots of running, I'll burn tons of calories, I'll shape up, I'll lose weight, but I'll be able to eat what I want.
You can do it! You're nearly there!
Hello. Well, the clock's just ticked 5 miles and the kids come to see me. Somebody just popped out from behind the wall and just went, hello. What a lovely surprise to have my mind. I'll give it this. Okay, so back to my running story. So I decided running was the thing I was going to do. So scored through my wardrobe, found a pair of trainers. At this point I haven't really done much sort of consistent exercise at all. Strapped them on my feet, went online, found the Couch to 5k plan, started following that. And it was tough. I mean, at that point I couldn't run for 1 minute and it was hard. How am I going to get through this and get up to 5k? I don't know. I've reached the seaside. Quite a rough sea. There's about 20 miles an hour of wind allegedly coming from that way. So luckily I'm going that way. But yeah, it's quite the choppy sea this morning. So doing well on my run so far. I think the pace is about right. Not quite halfway, but not far off. So I did the Couch to 5k for a while, which was tough, not gonna lie. Anyone who's done it will know it's a mixture between sort of jogging and walking, gradually increasing the running part. Anyway, I got up to about 20 minutes of running, which I was very impressed with, and all of a sudden on my Facebook feed there was an advert for a running group starting up locally, beginners running group. I thought, am I technically still a beginner? So I contacted a lady called Catherine, and she said, oh, you should come along to my intermediate group. I'm like, ooh, can only run 20 minutes. She said, no, that's absolutely fine. So a week later I show up at Holly Hill Runners, and she says, right, I'm assuming you can all run 5k. And my heart just sank. I'm like, 5k? That's 3 miles. I said on the phone I'd done 20 minutes. So you'll be fine. And this was the first time I'd ever run with anyone else in a group. And lo and behold, it's amazing what a little bit of encouragement, camaraderie, being with other people can do. And I smashed out my first 5k when I least expected it. And that group then took me on to my first 10k and the Great South Run of 10 miles in 2012. So that was the start of the journey. What I didn't know a lot about then was fueling, nutrition. I was still eating what I wanted, thinking that I was burning it off. I guess I did lose a little bit of weight. My shape didn't really change, and shortly after I did my second Great South Run that I actually completely stopped doing endurance running. Not that you'd say 10 miles is endurance, I suppose it is. But and just completely changed and went over to weightlifting. And that's what I did up until I was about 40 years old. No cardio, didn't believe I needed it. Learned about nutrition, protein for weightlifting, building muscle. And I got quite obsessed with my physique, toning it, honing it. I tell you what, I did it, got into absolute shape of my life, and therefore I actually believe that, yeah, you don't need cardio. So then for about 4 years, I was pretty much just lifting weights and walking. Within that time, the pandemic happened, and through what I'd learned nutrition-wise, through having a coach for my weightlifting, I actually took the time off that was afforded me as a pilot through the pandemic to do my nutrition coaching course, where I learned loads more about nutrition, and actually for part of it specifically about endurance nutrition, which I didn't think would be relevant for me. Fast forward a year and I meet my amazing man, and he has run many marathons. He was a runner. Things went well with us. I moved towns and I wanted to make friends, and he kind of inspired me to put the running shoes back on, but also thought a good way to make friends would be to join a running group. So I found a running group here in Worthing, Foxy Ladies, and started running with them. And it's through the inspiration of those ladies, what they've done in marathons, ultramarathons, all sizes, shapes, jobs, backgrounds. I've just felt inspired to push myself since then, and coupled with much better nutrition knowledge, coupled with the fact that I know strength training is super important, combining all these things has been a really good spot now to hopefully get the right balance. Perhaps an ultramarathon is a little bit of a balance in one direction and the other, but for now, that is the goal. Still a low sun. Not sure what time it is, probably between 9:30 and 10, something like that. Around the other side of the pier and then back in through the town, and won't be doing much filming on this bit because I've got to pick the pace up for the last 2 to 3 miles. So I shall see you at the end. Finished. 13.1. Well, it's actually 13.2 for some reason. In my head, half marathon is 13.2, but it's not, it's 13.1. It's 26.2 isn't marathon. Anyway, up the pace then for the last 3 miles to just over 9-minute miles. And the annoying thing about the last 3 miles and having to pick the pace up is that that's really the only uphill part of the whole run. So pushing it hard, but also up a hill, so extra hard. Anyway, it's nice to press stop on my watch. There's another tick in the belt, another a few miles under the belt ahead of the marathon and the ultra marathon. So while I'm on my walk uphill back home, I thought I'd just mention a little bit about why I've chosen Crohn's and Colitis UK as a charity that I want to run for and raise money for. My ex-stepdaughter, Amy, who is now, I think she's 28, I've known her 20 years of her life, and from around about the age of 16, I think, she went into hospital for some issue or other. Anyway, it's basically transpired from that moment up until really only last summer. She spent a lot of time in hospital with Crohn's, I think possibly colitis, but it's kind of an undiagnosed one. It was a tricky one that the doctors really couldn't get their heads around how to treat, coupled with the fact that she is resistant to penicillin and drugs like penicillin. And it's been quite harrowing to see what she's been going through over these last, over a decade. She spent at least 3 entire summers in hospital in considerable pain. She's been living with a stoma for many years now as well. She's on her second one, She's an amazing girl. She names her stomas, her bags, as I think a lot of sufferers do. And she's a super positive girl. Knowing what she's been through, like, it's really harrowing. She was in intensive care last year. And the problem is, to look at her, you perhaps wouldn't think anything was wrong. And this is the thing, it's a hidden illness. People get a lot of stigma for parking in disabled spaces or using disabled toilets, when actually, you know, you don't know that they may have something really quite difficult going on. That certainly was the case for Amy. Anyway, I'm pleased to say she seems to be on the mend now. She's working, which is fantastic. In fact, later this week, I'm going to have a little interview with her about her experiences. So I'm not going to go into too much more detail because she'll be able to tell you for herself. So wait and see, that'll be up soon, our little chat. But also my partner, Alan, he's also a sufferer of Crohn's disease. And he too lived with a stoma in his early 20s for a few months. And currently sort of just manages with only 10% of his lower intestine, so has to be incredibly careful. And he himself spent I think 4 nights in hospital last year through the effects of this disease. So yeah, it's very close to my heart. The more people I speak to, the more people come out and say that yeah, they know someone who has Crohn's or colitis or both, and it really is more common than you might think. So I'll also be having a little chat with Alan about his experiences. But yeah, if you would like to sponsor me, I'll put the QR code at the end of this little video. You can also find it on my socials if you go and look. I'd be thoroughly grateful to raise as much money as possible for this worthwhile charity, so thank you.